Kim Tae-ho stood in the massive chamber and felt very small. The walls stretched up so high he could not see the top. Strange lights floated in the air without any support. Around him sat creatures that looked like nothing he had ever seen on Earth. Some looked like walking crystals that sparkled with their own light. Others had too many arms and eyes that glowed red in the dark. One group had skin that looked like metal and made clicking sounds when they moved. All of them were staring at the three humans who stood in the center of the room. "This is it," whispered Park So-young, the woman standing next to him. She wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's military. Her hands stayed calm at her sides, but Kim could see the tension in her shoulders. "All our work comes down to this moment." The third human, Lee Jun-gi, carried a large case filled with data about Earth. Inside were videos of human cities, pictures of their technology, and records of everything humanity had achieved. It had taken months to prepare this presentation for the Galactic Council. A voice boomed through the chamber. It came from everywhere at once, making the air itself vibrate. The Council will now hear the petition from the species that calls itself human. Kim stepped forward. He had practiced this speech hundreds of times. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am Kim Tae-ho, speaking for the planet Earth and all humanity. We come before you today to request membership in your great alliance." The crystal beings made a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Kim had learned this meant they were talking to each other, but he could not understand their language. One of them, larger than the others, spoke in the common galactic language. "We have reviewed your submission, humans. Your species is interesting but severely limited." Kim felt his heart sink, but he kept his face calm. "May I ask what concerns the council has?" Another creature stood up. This one looked like a giant insect with armor plating covering its body. "Your technology is primitive. You have barely left your own star system. Most of our member species were traveling between stars when your species was still living in caves. Your lifespans are embarrassingly short," added a third alien that looked like flowing liquid held in a transparent container. "Most of you die before reaching even 100 of your years. How can such brief creatures contribute anything meaningful to projects that span millennia?" Lee Jun-gi stepped forward with his data case. "If I may show you our achievements despite these limitations." "No need," interrupted the armored insect. "We have seen enough. Your species shows promise for primitive beings, but you are simply too fragile and short-lived to be useful partners." Park So-young's jaw tightened. Kim could see she wanted to say something, but she stayed quiet. This was his moment to speak for Earth. "We understand we are newer to space travel than your species," Kim said carefully, "but humanity has unique qualities that could benefit the Council. We adapt quickly to new situations. We solve problems in creative ways. We work together when faced with challenges." The crystal being made that wind chime sound again. "You speak of adaptation and cooperation. Yet your own planet is full of conflicts. Your species fights wars over resources, territory, and ideas. How can beings who cannot even maintain peace on their own world contribute to galactic harmony?" Kim felt heat rise in his face, but he forced himself to stay calm. "It is true that humanity has conflicts, but we also have the ability to unite when we face threats that affect all of us. Our differences make us stronger, not weaker." "Differences?" The liquid creature rippled with what might have been laughter. "Your genetic diversity is minimal compared to most species. You all look essentially the same. You cannot even survive in different environments without artificial aid. Furthermore," added a new voice from a creature that looked like a tree made of metal, "your industrial capacity is laughably small. Your entire planet produces less energy in a year than a single one of our mining stations." Lee Jun-gi opened his case anyway and pulled out a tablet. "Our energy production has grown by 300% in just the last 50 years. Our population reached 8 billion beings who work together across the planet. We have built space stations and colonies on nearby worlds." The armored insect made a clicking sound that Kim had learned meant dismissal. Child species often show rapid early growth, but they hit limits quickly. Your biology simply cannot support the kind of expansion and development needed for true galactic citizenship. Kim tried one more time. "We ask only for the chance to prove ourselves. Give us associate membership. Let us show what humanity can accomplish when working alongside your great civilizations." The crystal being that seemed to be the leader spoke with finality. "The Council has made its decision. The species known as humans is denied membership in the Galactic Alliance. Your technology is too primitive, Your biology too fragile and your civilization too young and unstable. You may reapply in 500 of your years, assuming your species survives that long." The words hit Kim like a physical blow. 500 years? That was longer than any human civilization had ever lasted. It was a polite way of saying never. "Furthermore," the crystal being continued, "your star system is now marked as off-limits to Council expansion. We will not interfere with your development, but neither will we offer assistance or trade. You are free to continue your existence, but you will do so alone." Kim bowed deeply, though his pride burned. "We thank the Council for considering our petition." As the three humans walked out of the chamber, Kim could hear the aliens already moving on to other business. To them, humanity was just another failed applicant already forgotten. In the corridor outside, Park So-young finally spoke. "They made a mistake." "How do you figure that?" Lee Jungi asked, his voice bitter with disappointment. "They told us exactly what they think of us," Park replied. "They showed us their technology, their capabilities, their weaknesses. They dismissed us completely." She smiled, but it was not a happy expression. When someone underestimates you that badly, it gives you advantages they cannot imagine. Kim looked back at the chamber doors. Inside, creatures from across the galaxy continued their business, confident in their superiority. They had no idea that they had just made humanity's first strategic mistake. But Kim was beginning to understand that it would not be their last. The journey back to Earth would take 3 months. That would give them plenty of time to plan how to share this news with the leaders back home. Kim had a feeling that humanity's response to this rejection would surprise the Galactic Council. He was right. Choi Min-ho was drinking his morning coffee when the alarm started screaming. The sound echoed through the corridors of Mars Defense Station like the cry of a wounded animal. Choi dropped his cup and ran toward the command center, his boots pounding against the metal floor. Other officers were running too, their faces showing the same confusion and fear he felt. "What's happening?" he shouted over the noise. "Unknown ships approaching from the outer system," called back Lieutenant Park from the communications desk. "They're not responding to our signals." Choi reached the command center and stared at the main screen. Dozens of red dots were moving toward Mars, and they were moving fast. "Too fast for any human ship? How long until they reach us?" Choi asked. 18 minutes at their current speed," answered the tactical officer. "Sir, these ships, they're not like anything in our databases." Choi's mouth went dry. After the rejection by the Galactic Council 6 months ago, everyone had wondered if the aliens would leave humanity alone as promised. Now he had his answer. "Get me a line to Earth Defense Command," he ordered, "and send an emergency signal to all human colonies. Tell them we may be under attack." The ships appeared on visual sensors 12 minutes later. They looked like massive insects made of dark metal, bristling with weapons that glowed with orange light. Choi had never seen anything so terrifying and beautiful at the same time. "Incoming transmission," reported the communications officer. "It's on the same frequency the Galactic Council used." "Put it through." The main screen filled with the image of a creature Choi recognized from the intelligence reports. It was one of the armored insect-like beings that had spoken at the council meeting. Its multiple eyes glowed red as it spoke. "Attention, primitive humans. I am War Leader Krex of the Gornal Hierarchy. Your species was judged unworthy of galactic citizenship. We are here to demonstrate why that judgment was correct." Choi stepped forward. "This is Commander Choi Min-ho of the Mars Defense Force. You are in violation of your own council's decision. They declared this system off-limits." The alien made a sound like grinding metal. "The council makes rules for civilized species. You are not civilized. You are animals playing with technology you do not understand. We will show you the price of reaching beyond your capabilities." The transmission ended. A moment later, the first alien weapons fired. Orange beams of energy lanced through space toward the Mars orbital stations. The defensive shields, humanity's best technology, lasted less than 10 seconds. Choi watched in horror as Space Station Olympus exploded in a ball of fire and debris. "Return fire," he shouted, but he knew it was hopeless. The human weapons were plasma cannons designed for asteroid mining. They were powerful enough to break rocks, but against alien shields they might as well have been throwing stones. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it was over, half of the Mars colonies were burning ruins. Thousands of humans were dead. The alien ships had barely taken any damage at all. But War Leader Krex was not finished. His ships moved on to the asteroid mining stations in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The miners had no weapons at all. The aliens destroyed them anyway. On Earth, Han Ji-woo watched the news reports with growing fury. She was one of the planet's best weapons engineers, and she had spent years developing the systems that were supposed to protect human colonies. Now she watched those same systems fail completely against alien technology. "This is unacceptable," she said to her assistant. "Call the lab teams. Cancel all current projects. We have new priorities." The images from Mars were being broadcast across Earth, children crying over dead parents, rescue workers pulling bodies from collapsed buildings, burned settlements that had taken decades to build. But the aliens had made a crucial mistake. They thought destroying human colonies would make humanity surrender. Instead, it did something much more dangerous. It made humanity angry. Within hours of the attacks, every government on Earth was in emergency session. Old enemies put aside their conflicts. Rich and poor nations opened their treasuries. Scientists and engineers who had spent years competing began sharing their research freely. Captain Yoon Da-yoon received her new orders while her experimental ship was still in dry dock. The Indomitable Spirit was supposed to be a research vessel for studying alien technology recovered from the Council Station. Now it would become something very different. "They want us operational in 6 weeks," she told her crew. "That's impossible." "No," said her chief engineer, looking at the burning images from Mars on his tablet. "Impossible was what we thought about alien technology 6 months ago. We'll make it work." Back on Mars, Choi Min-ho stood in the ruins of New Sol Colony and made a promise to the families of the dead. "This will not stand," he said. "Humanity will have its answer to this attack." Han Ji-woo worked 18 hours a day for the next month. Her teams took apart every piece of alien technology they could find. They studied the weapon scorch marks on the Mars stations. They analyzed the sensor readings from the battle. Slowly, patterns began to emerge. "Their shields work differently than ours," she explained to the Emergency Defense Committee. "They're stronger, but they have a specific frequency weakness. And their weapons, while powerful, take time to recharge between shots." "Can we exploit these weaknesses?" asked General Kim from Earth Defense Command. "Give me 6 months and unlimited resources," Han replied. "I'll give you weapons that will make them regret attacking us." The general smiled grimly. "You have whatever you need." Across Earth, factories that had been making cars began making weapons. Shipyards that built ocean vessels started constructing spacecraft. Mining operations expanded to provide raw materials. The entire planet began to change. But the most important change was in humanity itself. The shock of the alien attack had burned away illusions about humanity's place in the galaxy. They were not welcome. They were not safe. And they were not going to hide. 3 months after the attack on Mars, the first test of Han Ji-woo's new plasma cannon lit up the Nevada desert. The beam punched through 3 feet of armor plating like it was paper. "How does it compare to the alien weapons?" asked the test observer. Han looked at her readings and smiled. "It's better." Word of the successful test spread through Earth's military networks. In shipyards around the world, construction crews worked faster. In training centers, new pilots pushed themselves harder. In research labs, scientists pushed the boundaries of what was possible. The aliens had intended to show humanity its place in the galaxy. They had succeeded, but not in the way they expected. Humanity's place was not as a victim or a supplicant. Humanity's place was as the species that would make the galaxy remember their name. Captain Yoon. Da-yoon received her final orders 6 weeks after the Mars attack. Her ship was ready, equipped with weapons that had never existed before. More ships were coming behind her, but hers would be the first to leave Earth's protection. "Our mission is reconnaissance," she told her crew as they prepared for launch. "We're going to find out where those aliens came from. And then we're going to make sure they understand the mistake they made." The Indomitable Spirit lifted off from Earth on a pillar of blue fire. It was the first human warship ever built. It would not be the last. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when you made humanity angry. Kang Soo-jin had run factories before, but nothing like this. She stood on the observation deck of the new orbital construction facility and watched robots build warships with impossible speed. Below her, automated assembly lines stretched for kilometers, working day and night without stopping. "Production report," she called to her assistant. "We completed 12 destroyers this week," came the reply. "The new cruiser will be finished tomorrow." And the first dreadnought should be ready for testing in 2 months. Kang nodded. 18 months ago, humanity had been building research vessels and cargo ships. Now they were producing a war fleet that grew larger every day. The change still amazed her. It had started with salvage. After the attack on Mars, recovery teams had found pieces of alien technology in the wreckage. Han Ji-woo's weapons research had been just the beginning. Every scrap of alien metal, every fragment of their circuits had been studied and improved upon. The aliens made their ships for durability, explained Dr. Lee from the research division. They expect their wars to last for decades or centuries. So they build everything to be sturdy and reliable, but not necessarily fast or flexible. And that's a weakness? Kang asked. For them, yes. Humans think differently. We build things to work now, to be upgraded later, to be replaced when something better comes along. Our ships aren't as tough as theirs, but they're faster to build and easier to modify. That philosophy had transformed Earth's entire industrial base. Factories that had taken years to plan and build were now constructed in months using prefabricated modules. Asteroid mining operations expanded so quickly that raw materials flowed to Earth in an endless stream. Admiral Shin Hyun-woo watched the construction from his office on the new space station orbiting Earth. The view showed dozens of ships in various stages of completion. Some were sleek fighters that could dart between larger vessels like angry wasps. Others were massive cargo ships designed to carry supplies across interstellar distances. Sir, the latest intelligence report from the outer system. His aide handed him a tablet. Shin read the data with satisfaction. Human spy probes had been watching alien activities for months now. The Gornal forces that had attacked Mars were based at a station only 4 light-years away. They had built it confident that humanity could never reach them. They were wrong. Any word from Captain Yoon? Shin asked. The indomitable spirit reported in yesterday. She's completed her reconnaissance mission and is heading back. Her intelligence should help us plan the first strike. Shin smiled. The first human warship had performed perfectly, slipping past alien sensors to map their installations. Soon it would have company. On the surface of Earth, Bae Yurin climbed into the cockpit of humanity's newest starfighter. The Falcon-class ships were built for speed and maneuverability. They carried weapons that could punch through alien armor and shields that could deflect return fire. Remember, called her instructor over the radio. These ships respond differently than the old training craft. The alien-derived engines provide 3 times the acceleration. Don't push too hard until you get used to it. Bae triggered the engines and felt herself pressed back into her seat. The fighter shot forward like a bullet, reaching speeds that would have been impossible with human technology alone. But it was not just alien technology anymore. Human engineers had modified and improved every system. How does it feel? Asked the instructor. Like flying lightning, Bae replied, banking the fighter through a series of tight turns. The response time is incredible. These ships will run circles around anything the aliens have. That was the plan. Human intelligence suggested that alien fighters were powerful but slow, designed for long-range bombardment rather than close combat. The new human fighters would get in close where their speed advantage would matter most. Back in the orbital shipyard, Kang Soo-jin received a priority message from Earth. She read it twice to make sure she understood correctly. They want how many ships? Her assistant asked, reading over her shoulder. 200 combat vessels ready within 6 months, Kang replied. Plus supply ships, troop transports, and mobile repair facilities. That's impossible. We don't have enough workers or materials. Kang looked out at the construction floor where robots worked alongside human technicians. Then we'll get more of both. Issue contracts for 10 new orbital facilities. Double the asteroid mining operations. And start recruiting workers from every nation on Earth. The response was immediate. Within weeks, Earth's orbital space was crowded with construction platforms. Automated cargo ships brought up materials from the planet's surface while mining vessels returned from the asteroid belt loaded with metals and rare elements. But the real change was happening on Earth itself. Nations that had been rivals for centuries were now working together with single-minded purpose. Japanese engineers shared technology with Brazilian manufacturers. American scientists collaborated with Russian researchers. African mining operations provided materials to European shipyards. The aliens achieved something we never thought possible, observed President Park during a secure conference call with world leaders. They united humanity completely. United in anger, added the Prime Minister of India. United in purpose, corrected the president of Brazil. We all understand now that our survival depends on working together. The transformation was visible from space. Earth's night side, once marked by scattered lights from individual cities, now glowed with the continuous illumination of industrial complexes that never shut down. Orbital elevators carried materials up and finished products down in an endless cycle. Dr. Jung Hai-Na worked in one of the most sensitive facilities, developing what she called psychological warfare tools. Her team studied recordings of alien communications, trying to understand how their minds worked. They're overconfident, she explained to the military planning committee. Their entire culture is based on the idea that they're superior to younger species. They literally cannot imagine being defeated by primitives like us. How do we use that? Asked Admiral Shin. We make them face the impossible, Jung replied. We show them humans doing things their theories say we cannot do. We make them question everything they believe about themselves and about us. Her team was developing communication protocols for the coming battles. Instead of threatening the aliens or boasting about human strength, they would simply document human capabilities and let the aliens draw their own conclusions. Meanwhile, Captain Yoon Da-eun brought the indomitable spirit home with detailed intelligence about alien installations. Her reconnaissance had revealed something important. The aliens were not expecting any kind of human response. Their security is minimal, she reported to Fleet Command. They have sensors watching for other alien ships, but nothing designed to detect human technology. Our ships have completely different energy signatures. Any signs they know we're building a fleet? Shin asked. None at all. As far as they're concerned, humans are still hiding on Earth, too frightened and too primitive to be a threat. Admiral Shin looked out at the growing fleet and felt a cold satisfaction. The aliens would learn soon enough how wrong they were. The first major test came when a patrol of alien scouts entered the outer edge of the solar system. They were probably checking to make sure humanity was behaving properly after the lesson on Mars. They found themselves facing a squadron of human fighters led by Ba Ye-rin. The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. The alien ships, designed for intimidating primitive species, were no match for fighters built specifically to kill them. When it was over, humanity had its first victory in space combat. More importantly, they had sent a message. Earth was no longer defenseless. The next aliens who came to Sol system better come ready for a real fight. Admiral Shin Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of Terra's Wrath, humanity's first dreadnought, and prepared to address the assembled fleet. 200 ships floated in formation around him, ready for humanity's first offensive operation against an alien target. The galaxy was about to discover what happened when humans stopped trying to fit in and started fighting back. Admiral Shin Hyun-woo stood on the bridge of Terra's Wrath and watched the stars bend around his ship as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Around him, 200 human warships appeared in flashes of blue light, taking formation in the darkness of space. Target confirmed, reported the tactical officer. Gornal forward base, just like the intelligence reports described. Shin looked at the main display. The alien station was enormous, a twisted structure of metal and crystal that gleamed with its own light. Dozens of alien ships moved around it like insects around a hive. They had no idea what was coming. Open a channel to all ships, Shin ordered. This is Admiral Shin. Today we begin humanity's answer to the attack on Mars. Today we show the galaxy that humans do not hide when threatened. We fight back. On the destroyer New Seoul, Colonel Park Sung-ho checked his marine assault gear one more time. His troops were loaded into drop pods, ready to board alien vessels or assault their stations. They had trained for months, studying every piece of intelligence about alien ship layouts and defensive systems. Remember, he told his squad leaders over the comm, these aliens think we're weak and primitive. They expect us to fight like scared animals. Instead, we're going to fight like humans. The alien station's sensors finally detected the human fleet. Warning signals began flashing across their command center, as confused alien officers tried to understand what they were seeing. Impossible, muttered the station commander, a Gornal warrior named Vrex. The humans have no ships capable of interstellar travel. Our intelligence clearly states they are confined to their home system. Sir, the sensor readings are definite, reported his tactical officer. 200 vessels, unknown design, human energy signatures. Vrex stared at the display. Human ships should be crude metal boxes with primitive chemical rockets. These vessels looked sleek and dangerous, moving with precision that suggested advanced technology. All ships to battle stations, he ordered. Activate the defense grid and send a message to the hierarchy. Tell them the humans have somehow acquired a fleet. But the message would never be sent. Dr. Young Haina's psychological warfare team had planned for this moment. As soon as the alien communication systems activated, human electronic warfare specialists jammed their transmissions with carefully crafted interference. Instead of hearing reports about human ships, the aliens received recordings of human laughter, mixed with the sounds of Earth's war factories working at full capacity. The message was clear without being threatening. Humanity was not afraid, and humanity was ready. Begin the attack, Admiral Shin commanded. The battle for Proxima Station began with something the aliens had never experienced. A coordinated assault by ships designed specifically to kill them. Human destroyers moved in perfect formation, their weapons firing in sequence to overwhelm alien shields. The plasma cannons that Han Jiwoo had developed punched through defensive barriers that had protected alien ships for centuries. Their shields are failing faster than predicted, reported the weapons officer on Terra's Wrath. Human engineering, Shin replied with satisfaction. We don't build weapons to impress other species. We build them to work. Bei Yirin led her fighter squadron through the chaos of battle, her Falcon dancing between alien beam weapons that moved too slowly to track human ships. Her target was the station's main docking bay, where alien reinforcements were trying to launch. Lightning Squadron, follow my lead, she called over the radio. We're going to bottle them up before they can get organized. Her fighters dove toward the station like missiles, their weapons carving through alien ships that had barely cleared their berths. The aliens had built their fighters for long-range bombardment, with heavy armor and powerful guns. But in close combat, they were sitting targets for human ships designed for speed and agility. On the alien station, chaos spread through the command center as reports flooded in from all sectors. The humans are jamming our communications, reported one officer. Their weapons are penetrating our shields, called another. They're targeting our supply lines and repair facilities, added a third. Commander Vrex felt something he had never experienced before in his long military career: fear. Not just concern about losing a battle, but deep terror at facing an enemy that fought in ways his training had never prepared him for. How are they moving so fast? He demanded. Our intelligence said human reflexes are too slow for space combat. His tactical officer checked the sensor readings again. Sir, I think their ships are partially automated. They're reacting faster than any biological creature could manage. It was true. Human ships used artificial intelligence to assist their crews, allowing them to respond to threats in milliseconds rather than seconds. It was another example of human engineering philosophy. Use every advantage available, regardless of tradition or pride. The tide of battle turned decisively when Colonel Park Sung-ho's Marines began their assault on the station itself. The aliens had designed their defenses to repel boarding parties that would try to force their way through main airlocks and corridors. Instead, human Marines used shaped charges to blast directly through the station's hull wherever they wanted to enter. Breach successful, Park reported as his troops poured into the alien station. We're encountering resistance, but their weapons are designed for ship-to-ship combat. They're having trouble hitting infantry targets. The aliens had never faced soldiers who moved like humans. Their own ground troops were heavily armored but slow, designed to advance steadily behind energy shields. Human Marines use speed and flexibility, appearing where the aliens did not expect them, and disappearing before defensive fire could be coordinated. This is impossible, transmitted one alien squad leader. They're fighting without regard for their own survival. It was another misunderstanding of human psychology. The Marines were not reckless. They were motivated. Every human soldier carried images of the burning Mars colonies in their memory. They fought not just for victory, but for justice. As the battle raged, Dr. Young Hae-na's psychological warfare team began broadcasting on all alien frequencies. Instead of propaganda or threats, they transmitted simple factual reports. Human industrial capacity has increased by 400% since your attack on Mars. Earth now produces more warships per month than your entire sector. Fleet, human fighter pilots, Achieve kill ratios of 12-1 against standard Gornal combat. Craft and human Marines have successfully boarded and captured 4 alien vessels in the past 20 minutes. The reports were delivered in calm, professional tones like news broadcasts. They contained no boasts or emotional appeals. They simply stated facts and let the aliens draw their own conclusions about what those facts meant. The psychological impact was devastating. Alien crews began to doubt their equipment, their training, and their leaders. Some ships simply stopped fighting and attempted to retreat. Admiral Shin watched the battle's progress with grim satisfaction. The alien station was falling apart under sustained human attack. Their ships were scattered or destroyed. Their defenses had collapsed completely. "Sir, we're receiving surrender signals from the remaining alien vessels," reported his communications officer. "Accepted," Shin replied. "Have Colonel Park secure the station. I want all alien survivors treated according to our rules of war." It was another calculated move. By treating alien prisoners well, humanity would demonstrate that they were civilized opponents, not savage barbarians. It would make future surrenders more likely, and reduce alien willingness to fight to the death. The Battle of Proxima Station lasted 6 hours. When it was over, humanity had achieved its first major victory against a Galactic Council member. More importantly, they had proven that human ships and tactics could defeat alien forces decisively. But the real victory was psychological. Across the galaxy, news of the human attack spread through alien communication networks. For the first time in recorded galactic history, a primitive species had defeated a council member in direct military confrontation. In the Galactic Council chambers, emergency sessions were called. Representatives who had dismissed humanity months earlier now demanded answers about how such a thing could be possible. They were supposed to be too weak for interstellar warfare, protested the Vorthak delegate. They were supposed to be too primitive for advanced weapons, added the Gornal representative. The crystal being who had led humanity's rejection spoke slowly. "Perhaps we underestimated them. Perhaps we should have paid more attention to their potential rather than their current limitations." But it was too late for such reflections. Admiral Shin was already planning humanity's next move. The galaxy had seen what humans could do when they were angry. Now it would learn what they could do when they were determined. Earth's war machine was just getting started. President Lee Soo-min stood at the window of her office and watched the latest fleet leave Earth orbit. 50 ships this time, heading toward the Vorthak crystal worlds that had called humanity too fragile to matter. In the 18 months since the victory at Proxima Station, human fleets had won battles across 12 star systems. The galaxy was learning to fear the name human. The latest intelligence reports. "Madam President," her aide handed her a tablet. Lee read through the data with satisfaction. 3 more alien species had secretly contacted Earth, offering to share information about Council military positions. The galaxy's older powers were finding themselves surrounded by species they had long ignored or oppressed. "Any word from Fleet Admiral Yu?" Lee asked. "His ships have reached the outer defenses of the Council station," came the reply. "He reports that alien resistance is lighter than expected. Many ships are surrendering without fighting." Lee nodded. That was the pattern now. Word of human tactics had spread through alien fleets, and many crews simply refused to face human ships in battle. Stories of the impossible things humans could do had grown in the telling, until even veteran alien warriors hesitated to engage human forces. In space near the Council station, Fleet Admiral Yu Jin-wook commanded the largest human fleet ever assembled. 500 ships surrounded the massive structure where Earth's petition for membership had been rejected 2 years earlier. "Sir, we're receiving surrender offers from the remaining alien ships," reported his tactical officer. "They're requesting safe passage in exchange for laying down their weapons." "Granted," Yu replied, "but make it clear that any ship that changes its mind will be destroyed immediately." The alien commanders understood. Human promises of mercy were reliable, but so were human promises of destruction. It was better to surrender to humans than to fight them. On the bridge of the cruiser Incheon, Ambassador Kim Na-ri prepared for the most important diplomatic mission in human history. She would enter the same chambers where Kim Tae-ho had been humiliated, but this time as the representative of a species that commanded respect. "Remember," she told her security detail, "we're not here to gloat or to take revenge. We're here to establish humanity's place in the galactic order." Act like the representatives of a major power, because that's what we are now. The council chambers looked different when approached by a victor rather than a supplicant. The floating lights seemed less mysterious, the vast spaces less intimidating. Kim. Nari walked to the center of the room where human delegates had once stood alone and waited for the assembled aliens to address her. The crystal being who had rejected humanity's first petition spoke first. Ambassador Kim Nari of Earth, the Galactic Council acknowledges your presence and your military achievements. Thank you, Kim replied calmly. I come not as a petitioner, but as the representative of humanity to discuss the new political reality in this galaxy. Murmurs spread through the chamber. The aliens were not used to being addressed as equals by species they considered primitive. The new reality? Asked the Gornal representative, his voice carrying less arrogance than it had 2 years earlier. The reality is that humanity is now a galactic power, Kim stated simply. We control 14 star systems. We command the largest and most advanced fleet in this sector, and we have the support of 37 species that were previously denied membership in your council. This last point caused visible distress among the alien delegates. Humanity had indeed gained allies, species that had been rejected or ignored by the council, and were now eager to associate with the humans who had proven that the established order could be challenged. What do you want? Asked the liquid being that had once mocked human genetic diversity. We want what we have always wanted, Kim replied. Recognition as equals, trade agreements, peaceful coexistence. The only difference is that now we're negotiating from a position of strength rather than weakness. And if we refuse? Asked the metal tree creature. Kim's expression did not change. Then you'll continue to lose star systems to human expansion, continue to see your member species defect to our alliance, and continue to watch your military forces retreat rather than face human fleets. Eventually, you'll find yourselves presiding over an empty council of a few stubborn species while the rest of the galaxy moves on without you. The truth of this statement hung in the air like a physical presence. Human victories had indeed triggered a cascade of political changes across the galaxy. Old alliances were crumbling while new ones formed around Earth's growing influence. President Lee Suman received the news of the Council's decision while reviewing plans for humanity's next industrial expansion. The message was brief but significant. Terms accepted. Formal recognition granted. Treaty negotiations to begin immediately. Madam President, her aide asked, how should we announce this to the public? Lee thought for a moment. Simply, tell them that humanity has been accepted as an equal member of galactic civilization. Tell them that our children will grow up in a galaxy where humans are respected. Not dismissed, but the real celebration was taking place throughout human space. On every world and station where human flags flew, from the rebuilt colonies on Mars to the new settlements in distant star systems, humans celebrated not just their acceptance by the galaxy, but their transformation into a power that could not be ignored. Dr. Young Haina, now Director of Interstellar Relations, analyzed the psychological impact of humanity's rise. The aliens' fundamental mistake was assuming that current capability equals future potential, she explained in her report. They looked at humanity as we were, not as we could become. And now? Asked President Lee. Now they're trying to understand how a species they dismissed as primitive managed to surpass their own technological and military capabilities in less than 2 years. Some of them are frightened. Others are fascinated. All of them are paying attention. The Treaty of Seoul, signed 6 months later, established humanity as an equal member of the Galactic Council with full voting rights and territorial sovereignty. But the treaty also included provisions that went far beyond what Earth had originally requested. Human technology would be shared with allied species. Human military advisors would help defend worlds threatened by aggressive neighbors. Human industrial capacity would be available to support galactic development projects. We're not just joining their system, observed Admiral Shin, now serving as Earth's military representative to the Council. We're reshaping it. Fleet Admiral Yu put it more simply during the celebration on Earth. They thought we were too weak to matter. Instead, we became too strong to ignore. The transformation was visible throughout human space. Earth itself had become the hub of a growing interstellar civilization. The orbital shipyards that had once frantically produced warships now built exploration vessels and colony ships. The factories that had made Weapons now manufactured the tools of peaceful expansion, but humanity had not forgotten the lessons of their rejection and the attack on Mars. Every human world maintained defensive fleets. Every human ship carried weapons. The galaxy had learned to respect human strength, and humans intended to keep it that way. Kim Nari, now Earth's permanent ambassador to the Galactic Council, reflected on the change during a quiet moment between negotiations. 2 years earlier, she had watched Kim Tae-ho return from the same station with news of humanity's rejection. Now she walked these corridors as the representative of a species that other ambassadors approached for favors and alliance. "What do you think Kim Tae-ho would say if he could see this?" her aide asked. Kim smiled. "I think he would say that humanity proved exactly what he told the Council during our first petition. We adapt quickly to new situations. We solve problems in creative ways. And we work together when faced with challenges. And they thought those were weaknesses. They confused restraint with weakness," Kim replied. "They mistook cooperation for submission. They thought our brief lifespans made us less capable, when they actually made us more motivated." The final irony was that humanity's rapid rise had made the galaxy more stable, not less. Human military power deterred aggression between other species. Human industrial capacity supported development in previously neglected systems. Human diplomacy helped resolve conflicts that had festered for centuries. President Lee Soo-min delivered humanity's first address to the full Galactic Council from the same podium where human requests had once been dismissed. But her words were not about victory or revenge. "We came to you once as supplicants asking to be allowed to join your civilization," she said. "You refused because you saw only our limitations. Today we stand as equals because we chose to overcome those limitations rather than accept them. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to prosper together. Human strength does not diminish other species. Our growth creates opportunities for everyone willing to work with us, rather than against us." She paused and looked around the chamber at delegates who now listened respectfully rather than dismissively. "You called us frail. You said we were weak. You claimed we could never contribute anything meaningful to galactic civilization. You were wrong about all of it. But that's all right. Humans are used to being underestimated. It's what we do best. Prove that the impossible is just another word for